Let's unpack this. We're diving into something that, well, for many businesses is either a powerful asset or just kind of sitting there, looking pretty maybe, but not really doing much. We're talking about your website, but forget just getting something online. Today, we're exploring how to build a website that genuinely works for your business. Focus squarely on, your goals and your bottom line. Our source material today gives us a really specific lens on this. We're drawing insights from Ascend Consulting Group, especially their article, Your Website, a Rural Growth Engine Playbook, and some other stuff they've put out. So the mission here, to really get inside the Ascend's philosophy, the idea that a website should be a productive, functional tool tied directly to business objectives, moving past just the aesthetics to create something that actually drives growth.
And that's so key to understanding their whole approach, isn't it? Ascend isn't just a web design shop.
Yeah.
If you look at their broader services, things like visibility, solutions, growth, engagement, leadership, their view on websites comes from this deeper place, a foundation of overall business operations, strategic HR, growth strategy. You really see it in the backgrounds of their principals, Graham McLeod and Laura Nicolette. Graham's got all this experience simplifying really complex business systems, scaling processes. And Laura's background is deep in strategic HR transformation, aligning strategy with goals. So they're looking at the website as one critical piece within that bigger business machine.
Right. That context makes a huge difference. It's not just about code and pretty pictures. It's about how the website actually plugs into the real work, the day-to-day of the business.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start with the core problem they talk about. Ascend paints this picture in their playbook. I thought this was pretty vivid. Imagine it's minus 26 degrees Celsius out, snow's blowing, Main Street's totally deserted. But inside, the business is still humming. Orders are coming in, inquiries are filling the calendar. Right. Why? Because the website is working.
Yeah, that imagery really hammers home the potential, doesn't it? A website as a truly always-on 247 engine for engagement and, well, sales. The trouble is, that's often not the reality. Ascend points to how common these beautiful but broken sites are, or what they call pretty ghosts.
Pretty ghosts. I like that.
It captures it, right? They look fantastic. Maybe they even win some design awards, but they're basically invisible to search engines. They don't convert visitors into actual customers, and ultimately, they just don't deliver any measurable business value. They just sit there.
Yeah, it's there, but it's not doing anything useful, like a ghost.
Exactly. And the sources highlight the really painful consequence of this. Businesses often end up paying twice. Once for that non-performing pretty ghost, and then again for a site that actually works like it's supposed to.
Ouch. That's a costly mistake to make. So the big question then is, how do you avoid building the digital dusty brochure? How do you get the growth engine? What's their first principle?
Okay, their absolute foundational principle, it comes through loud and clear from the playbook. Start with the outcome, not the aesthetic.
Outcome first.
Before anything else, before you're picking colors or fonts or even thinking about page layouts, you have to define very clearly what the website needs to accomplish for the business. And Ascend gives specific examples like, do you need to fill X number of spots in a workshop calendar by, say, the end of the quarter? Or generate Y dollars in gift card sales every single month? Maybe recruit Z skilled welders who are actually willing to move north within 6 months.
Those are really specific, measurable goals.
They have to be. Until those specific outcomes are defined ideally with numbers and timeframes attached, all the talk about visual design is, frankly, premature. As the source puts it, pretty unequivocally. Strategy dictates structure. Structure guides design.
So strategy first, then structure, then design. That completely flips the usual script. It's not, I need a website, make it look good. It's more like, here are my specific business goals. How can a website help me hit them? Function and results? That's the starting block.
Precisely. The website is fundamentally a tool to achieve a specific business result. And its structure, its design, everything about it has to serve that core purpose.
Okay, so if starting with the outcome is principle one,
Yeah.
what's the next crucial step? They talk a lot about discovery.
Ah, yes, discovery. The source calls this phase where trust is built or lost. And it's critical because this is where a true partner really shows their stripes.
How so?
Well, Ascend describes what a serious agency does in that very first conversation. It's not some canned sales pitch. It feels much more like a business audit. They ask these deep, sometimes maybe even uncomfortable questions about your actual business fundamentals. Things like, what are your real profit margins? What's the day-to-day reality like for your ideal target customer? What's your realistic growth horizon? And how does a website even fit into that picture?
Wow, asking about margins and the customer's daily grind.
Yeah.
That's way beyond just So what pages do you think you need?
Absolutely. And the source gives a really clear warning sign here. If that first conversation immediately jumps to talking about header images or choosing a template or focusing only on visual styles before they truly get a handle on your business mechanics and goals, well, that's a major red flag, according to Ascend.
Yeah, I can totally see why they say trust is built or lost right there. If they don't seem genuinely invested in understanding my business, my reality, my goals, how can I possibly trust them to build a site that actually helps me achieve them?
Exactly right. And they connect this directly back to those pretty ghosts. Without that deep discovery dive, the site just won't be built on the right foundation. It won't have the right messaging or the right calls to action or even the right structure to attract the right kind of visitors, the ones who might actually convert, or guide them effectively towards those business outcomes once they land on the site. It might look nice, sure, but it's fundamentally disconnected from its purpose.
Okay, so outcome first, discovery second. Then you get into the actual structure, and they talk about page count, which I think that's a common sticking point for businesses, right? The cost aspect.
It really is. They apparently get asked all the time, hey, can we just get away with a single page site?
And what's their take?
Well, the nuance from the sources is important here. Their answer is basically sometimes yes, but only if the goal is extremely laser focused. Think like a dedicated landing page for a very specific ad campaign that's aiming for just one single action, maybe signing up for one particular event. That's it.
Okay, very narrow use case.
Right. But, and this is the crucial part, if you're counting on organic traffic from search engines like Google, or if you need to cater to different customer segments with tailored information, or maybe your product, your service, your whole story just requires a bit more explanation or it unfolds over multiple steps, then you absolutely need multiple purpose-built pages. Each page has a job to do within the larger strategy.
Ah, okay. Because like search engines need different pages to rank for different keywords or topics, right? And customers at different stages or with different needs, they need different info.
Exactly. And the source explicitly warns against choosing your page count based purely on the price tag. They say something like, shortchanging architecture usually squeezes results later. You basically cripple the site's potential performance right from the start just to save a little bit upfront.
So don't let the desire for a low initial price dictate a structure that can't actually achieve your real goals down the line. Let the strategy, the plan, the user journey dictate the structure.
That's the idea. Which leads us pretty naturally into the whole topic of budget. Ascend has this great line here, they say, budget is a steering wheel, not a handbrake.
I like that analogy. A steering wheel, not a handbrake. So how does a business owner actually use the budget like a steering wheel, according to them?
It means, yeah, you set the investment level, that's the steering input, but that budget shouldn't force you to cut out the essential the core functionality, the strategic architecture that actually makes the site perform. It doesn't mean building a site that can't hit your goals just because you have a budget cap. That would be like applying the handbrake.
Okay, so what's the solution then?
The solution they propose, and what a good strategic partner should do, is show you how to phase the work effectively. You focus the initial investment, that first phase, on building and launching the absolute core conversion funnel. The essential pages, the key features needed to achieve your primary, most critical business goals first. Then, down the road, as the business grows or more resources become available, you can layer on the nice-to-haves, advanced features, maybe expand content for secondary audiences, add more complex stuff in phase 2, phase 3.
Right, build the core first.
Exactly. They use another really vivid analogy for this. It's the difference between paving the main highway, now getting that core traffic flow working efficiently, and maybe adding the scenic loops or side roads later, versus just pouring half a road that stops in a field. You don't want to spend your money on something that doesn't actually get you anywhere functionally.
Right. Prioritize the core stuff that drives results, launch that, get it working, and then build outwards. Don't compromise that core just to hit a lower number on day one.
Precisely. Get the engine running first, then add the bells and whistles.
Okay, makes sense. So once the plan is set, the budget's steering things.
Yeah.
What about the actual build process itself? They talk about process being important.
Yeah, they really emphasize that process protects the project. A clear, well-documented process isn't just, bureaucratic paperwork. It's actually essential for getting reliable results and managing everyone's expectations.
Keeps things on track.
Totally. The sources describe the kind of rhythm you can set your watch by that affected agencies tend to follow. It's usually a structured sequence. Starts with research, then moves into conversion copywriting, which is all about writing words designed to motivate specific actions, then wireframes, which are like the site's blueprint, then the visual design layer, then the actual development or coding, rigorous testing, the launch itself, and then critically post-launch marketing support and analysis. You have to see how it's actually performing in the wild.
That sounds thorough.
It needs to be. And signs of a good process, according to Ascend, include things like documenting every step and every handoff, clearly spelling out who is responsible for what and by when. Total transparency. They specifically mention you should never be surprise invoiced for standard, necessary things like making sure the site works on mobile phones or optimizing its loading speed. Those should be baked in. If the process feels murky, or if you're unclear on what's happening next, they warn that the final website outcome will probably be pretty murky too.
Yeah, murky process, murky results. That
Yeah.
tracks. Definitely makes a lot of sense. Okay, so bringing all these principles together, then starting with the outcome, that deep discovery, strategic structure, and page count, budget as a steering wheel, and having a protective process, what's Ascend's kind of overall mantra. Their guiding philosophy when they're quarterbacking a web project or maybe helping a client vet potential partners.
Their consistent mantra, you see it threaded through their materials, is this: people first, data second, action always.
Okay, break that down. People first.
In the context of a website project, people first means really focusing on clear communication, understanding the humans involved, the business owners, their team, and crucially, their customers. Like, if an agency sends you a proposal that's so full of jargon you need a translator, that's a bad sign. It's not putting people first.
Right. And data second.
Data second means basing decisions on actual evidence. Things like conversion rates, traffic patterns, user behavior analytics from the site itself. While, gut feeling has its place, they state pretty clearly that conversion data ultimately has veto power if it contradicts your assumptions about what you think should be working. Data trumps gut feel.
Ooh, data has veto power over gut feeling. That's a powerful idea, especially when you're like emotionally invested in your business and your website design.
It is, but it's grounded in reality, right?
Huh.
What users actually do on the site tells you way more about its real effectiveness than how you personally feel about a particular button color or image.
True. And the last part, action always.
Action always is all about ensuring the website does something tangible, that it performs against those goals set way back in the beginning, that it contributes to measurable business outcomes, and also that it's built with the long term in mind, thinking about scalability, how it can stretch and adapt as your business evolves.
Got it. People, data, action. And it sounds like they measure success accordingly.
Absolutely. They measure success in actual business outcomes,
Yeah.
Bookings, sales generated, maybe community impact if that's a goal, not just in design awards, though, hey, those can be a nice bonus, but they're not the main prize.
Right. It's got to be about real world results.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's bring this back to you, the listener, for a second. Thinking about your own website right now,
Mm-hmm.
is it just sort of a static, pretty picture? Or is it actively working for you day in, day out? Based on these principles from Ascend we've been talking about, are its specific business goals clearly defined? Do you know what it's supposed to be achieving? Are you treating it like a key business asset with a real job to do?
It really challenges that common perception of what a website is, doesn't it? It's not just some necessary digital placeholder you have to have. It's a dynamic tool. And it requires real strategic intent, careful planning, and a solid understanding of how it actually integrates into your wider business operations if you want it to drive growth.
Exactly. It needs to be seen and treated with that level of seriousness.
Yeah.
Expected to deliver measurable results, not just exist.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the uncomfortable question to ask yourself is this: if your site isn't delivering those results, if it's not generating leads or sales or fulfilling whatever specific goals you set for it, is it actually costing you more by not working effectively, by just sitting there, missing opportunities, maybe even frustrating potential customers? Is that hidden cost greater than what it would take to invest in making it that productive growth engine Ascend describes?
Oof. Yeah, that's a really provocative thought to end on. That passive website, that pretty ghost, might be an invisible cost that you really can't afford. And definitely, if you're looking at building a new site or maybe redesigning an existing one, are you asking the right questions up front? Are you starting with the outcome, demanding that deep discovery, letting your strategic plan dictate the structure and the budget phasing? Are you choosing a partner who's focused on real business results and a transparent process? Lots to chew on there as you evaluate your own digital front door.